Greetings, geeks. Welcome to episode 648 of Geeks in Space. We're a little bit early, and I know you couldn't bear to wait just one more second to talk to Rob Roseboom.
Hello.
And to Chris DeBona.
You know, Rob Roseboom really is why I come to this podcast / call / video cast
thing.
That's
why you come to hang out with your friends for half hour a couple times a week.
I mean, you're nice, Taco.
Oh yeah, like I'm on a scale of 1 to 10, like I'm a strong 6.
On a scale of 1 to Zen.
Oh,
good times. Let's get started.
That's right.
All right, where were we?
Well, the last thing that we talked about. Oh, I gotta actually reload my screen. The one thing I'll say is there's a thing on there about the Starship stacking. And that was I got up this morning and it was going like right as I picked up my laptop, right as I picked up my device, I saw that and clicked through and got there. They did the docking at like 7:56 my time or whatever, and like within like 30 seconds of when I clicked on it, they merged the Starship and the Superheavy. Like it was perfect timing for me personally, and it was really awesome. I was there. I was part of it.
That's remarkable.
So now they have Starship 20 mounted atop Superheavy 4.
Okay.
And so I think the next step is for them to do a test fire of all the rockets on Superheavy.
The bottom rockets.
The bottom rockets. I hope they don't test the ones on the top anymore.
I know I'm using high-tech terms, but the bottom rockets, they're going to test those, not the ones on top.
Generally speaking, when you test fire the second stage, you don't want there to be a first stage underneath it.
Probably not.
I mean, I would love to watch it.
Once.
from
far
a far away, and hopefully with the bottom tank not fueled.
I gotta say, this is a beaut, man.
It's bigger than Apollo, man. It's crazy.
It's bigger than Apollo. That's amazing.
Yeah, and more thrust. I mean, when it goes up, it's going to be the biggest thing we've ever put in space.
So you were watching Scott Manley's most recent thing.
Oh, I watched Scott Manley.
Sequence.
He is like heroin to me.
Yeah. So he was talking about the firing sequence of the engines of the Apollo program, and how it starts with the center engine, and then it does the ullage and ignition of the other, not ullage, but the ignition of the other ones 200 milliseconds later, and then the next one's 200 milliseconds later. I was thinking, how do you do that with 33 rockets?
Right?
You know, I'm like, oh, that's
right.
Gonna be, huh?
And if you do it wrong, it all go boom.
It'll all go boom. Yeah.
So I don't think that they've officially stated when they're going to do the test fire or the launch, but I bet you don't put a Starship on top of a Super Heavy unless you're planning on it being real close. I don't think you let it sit out there for all that long.
Sway. Doesn't that make your heart just go?
I know.
It's swaying.
I know. It was actually pretty funny listening to the commentary as it was actually happening. They're like, I think he's got the calipers out. It must be really close.
Right.
Oh man, that'd be so scary. Don't stick.
Oh, wait, did you see what just happened there? Here, look at the scissor lift on the left-hand side here. Okay, wait for it. And go up close. Stop. He bashed into the side of the damn Starship.
Right.
Like, don't scratch my ship, man.
Come on. Fresh steel here.
Hey, seriously, he banged into it. It's like, dude, don't bang into the Starship.
Time for an incident report.
It has been exactly 1 minute since some dumbass stuck their hand in between Super Heavy and Starship.
I left my sandwich in there.
Sorry, Gary. That's going into low Earth orbit. All right. Anyway, that was my first thing of the morning, which just was a really great way to start my day.
Getting lower. They're like, Gary, will you just go downstairs? Just leave.
Shut up! I'm doing the best I can. Okay.
Seriously, they're right on top of some like pitot style tube thing, probably a camera mount actually. All right.
Well,
there.
that was
And I'm
actually
like,
the
"Don't
funniest
bash
thing.
into it, dummy."
The funniest moment was the people on the commentary, right? They're not official. They're just dudes with telescopic lenses watching. And they're like,
Oh,
is it
so-
on yet? And they're like, the guy holding the camera just looked away. I think it's on. Because the guy holding the camera is not looking anymore.
Is there a drone flying around there? I thought in a
could be a
couple shots I
drone.
saw a drone flying around.
There are drones that are being
Oh,
pretty
I'm
constantly
sure.
flown by the fanboys that are all hanging out around Boca Chica.
No, I mean like
No,
right
I'm sure it's a
where they
SpaceX
are.
one. You know,
Yeah.
if I were SpaceX, I'd be covering this thing with drones.
Well, they actually I didn't put a link up, but I think that they signed a deal with Netflix to do a documentary series on the I guess their version of the Richard Branson Jeff Bezos flight will be like 6 episodes instead of a really stuttery YouTube stream.
Okay. Shit attached.
Ta-da!
Oh my god! Look at the height of those scissor lifts.
It's amazing.
I mean,
And what's amazing to me is that a fully stacked
are those the scissor lifts? Those white things, or are those like fuel?
I think the fully stacked Apollo is like somewhere below that triangle that's sticking out of the right of the crane. Like that's how much bigger it is.
Yeah, I gotta say, just for me, the engineering even on these mega cranes is always amazing. Just look at that, just
Yeah, they're monsters.
hello geometry,
Right?
hello math,
Yeah, I was just, I was watching that crane failure video, talks about the pins, talks about this, talks about that, and I'm like, imagine a gantry crane, It's like, that sucker's got to be right.
Have you seen all the speculation
Wait,
on the?
Just said something on the.
Have you seen what they're thinking is going to happen with the grabbing arm? That's like going to like slide up and down the side of that tower. Dude, this is science fiction. It's just crazy.
Well, specifically, it's science.
Well, yes,
and that's what's great about it.
So, it's the science fiction of my childhood is the science of today. It's glorious. Okay,
SpaceX fanboy hour.
That's right.
I mean, if you really think about it, all of us has a little device that can give us the answer to any question in our pocket.
Right.
Right. So think about science fiction from when we were children.
Or alternatively, if you're some scumbag taking pictures of kids.
And we're going to go there.
Well, I mean, it's one of the stories.
It is.
Well, unless you want to talk about Rinzler.
Well, we can talk about the Apple thing is the sad one for the day.
But it is sad. And honestly, so there's 2 ways of talking about this.
Oh,
the first way is Apple probably spent as much time and money on the feature that on camera detects the known National Center for Missing and Exploited Children's data set of child pornography as SpaceX spent on the StarX, the Superheavy. But I have to tell you something. One of the first things I did at Google was I worked on a recognizer for the NCMEC data set. And we deployed that sucker, and I relish every motherfucker we caught. I loved it, and good on Apple. This is not, a violation. This is a program looking for a very specific set of images that are known to be traded by fucking assholes. And
a very specific set of images that, for obvious reasons, we can't see. We have no idea when the authoritarian governor, the next Trump, decides to add in the memes of President Xi looking like Winnie the Pooh.
So, first of all, they already have that stuff.
Mm-hmm. And frankly, so do we. I mean, everybody knows that the Googe and the Apple are scanning your iCloud and they're scanning your Google. Everybody knows that's what's happening.
It works. That is not true.
I mean, I believe it to be true.
We're not in China for a reason, man. We're not in some of these places for a reason.
Sure.
Right. I don't work for Apple, so I don't know what they're doing. But that is not something that we indulge in. But do we indulge in scanning for the NCMEC data set? Damn right. Absolutely.
Sure.
And screw every son of a bitch who is trading in those images.
For sure. And that's the thing about all issues like this, right? You want the criminals caught, you want the bad guys caught, and you also know that the same tools that you use to catch the bad guys
won't be used.
Can be used for evil. And we also know that power tends to expand its grasp. So,
right. But that is independent. So I would say to you, when we released, I don't know, the Naver face detection system or into open source or TensorFlow or any of these feature recognition systems, right? Were they going to be used for quote unquote bad things by bad people? Yeah, absolutely.
Eventually.
Right. I mean, that's the nature of releasing open source software. Sometimes people use it for things you don't like. Sometimes autocrats, theocrats. Like, I'm pretty sure that software we've released has ended up in the Qassam 3, 4, and 5 missiles.
For sure.
Being used in the Middle East.
Well, I mean, that's just the nature.
I know for a fact the compilers we worked on have led to the creation of a number of weapon systems here in the States and in Europe and everywhere else because they use compilers just like everybody else.
Yep. Technology, the creators of technology don't get to decide all of the applications of said technology.
So we do if we keep it completely proprietary and never share it. But we decided to become part, the three of us, the world. We decided to become part of a sharing culture where instead of recreating the wheel every time we build a car, we start with a wheel, right? We start with an engine. We start with a compiler.
Everything's built out of other people's Legos.
You know? So, and much as engines go into tanks as well as they go into cars and tractors to make food.
Yeah. I mean, I personally sit sort of in the middle of you two on this. I'm sure that the government has access to everything.
Yep.
But for me, as long as they try to hide it and don't use it in a court of law, I'm fine with that. You know.
So are you specifically fine if they catch some bastards with this technology? Them going to court?
I'm fine with that. But it's when that becomes brazen, when it becomes known and you talk about it.
It's so weird that the competitor to the president is the only one being captured. That's when.
That is when it becomes problematic.
Yep. This stuff it scares me. I want the bad guys caught, but I don't trust the people in charge because sometimes we elect Trumps and they abuse systems. And this system, or whatever its descendant is, in this case, Apple often leads the industry in this sort of thing. This thing becoming standard on Apple devices becomes legally required on all devices in some number of years in the future, and then we can't have Winnie the Pooh on our phone, and that's already happened in other countries, and it will happen here. It's a matter of will it be in 1 year or 30 or 50? I don't know. It's sad, but also if you got pictures of that shit on your phone, then F you, and you should go to jail.
Yeah, you should be castrated. All right. Well, we don't need to go there. Hi. So,
hi.
South
well,
Park.
let me
South Park's still in business.
Let me just get the Rinzler thing out of the way because that was further down the list. This is purely selfish on my part. I have
it's a selfish part.
Oh, this is all selfish.
Us hanging.
I have so many of Rinzler's books in I guess probably the Kindle app. I have bought tons of those things. They have old photos of Star Wars. They have old photos of all of these movies. He's one of those guys who has total insider access. So all of his things that he posts or publishes are the whitewashed, sanitized, PR-approved versions of the stories of the creation of all of these classic movies. But man, they are the pictures are so nice and the stories are so good. And I have read so many of his books. They're mostly picture books. They're light reads. They're just looking at shiny pictures. He died at 58. That sucks.
Pancreatic cancer.
That's a rough one.
That is. Poor guy. But so I have a question for you.
Yes.
Is the Rinzler character in Tron Legacy named after him?
They're twins.
Oh, don't start with twins.
Oh, that's probably that's probably a discussion for after the call. Rob. But
so Rinzler's brother's name is Dan, is what you're saying?
Yeah. He's got a really nice beard.
He's got nice hair. You know?
Yeah.
Look at George Lucas's beard in the photo here. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
There's
you don't have the article up, Chris.
I'm sorry. Poof.
Poof. But yeah, I mean, you've probably seen the covers of these books if you haven't read them, but I've bought all of them. They're
cool.
They're neat. But I have issues when it comes to Star Wars. I'm not wearing a Star Wars shirt today. I'm wearing a Letterkenny shirt today.
Allegedly.
Oh yeah. I'm wearing allegedly.
I got that shirt. That's a great shirt.
Anyway, let's.
Can I just tell you something? There's a certain amount of joy that comes over people's faces when you walk around with that shirt. Because most people are like,
right.
"That's just some shirt, right?" And then every once in a while, we go, and that's it. And a very good moment.
I'll share a Kathleen story, because this is a recent event. Kathleen, one of her usual masks is just a picture of a Minecraft dirt block. And that's a fun one because kids recognize it. Like every kid recognizes that, and even a lot of adults recognize it. But she has a standard response to that, because people will often say, "That's a really nice mask," and she says, "Yeah, but it's always dirty." And the silly of that statement of wearing a Minecraft dirt block and then referring to it as dirty, actually, like, a surprising percentage of people take her then literally. Like, oh yeah, keeping masks clean is very hard in these trying times. Like, they don't understand that she's referring to dirt.
Yeah, there's some, I know this sounds a little grim, but there's been like a lot of innovation in masks. Like, people at some point decided, you know what? Let's not make this boring. If we're going to be wearing these things for the rest of our lives, I mean, look at this.
Toads.
That's hilarious.
Totally. One of my kids has a little ramen bowl, and he loves it. He loves noodles. He loves ramen. And cool. Like, it's a fun way to express yourself that, you have t-shirts, but it's a nice way to, I like that. It's making lemonade out of a whole lot of garbage.
Yeah.
South Park,
still in business. Still on the air.
Again, I will continue to say, I think that South Park has been doing good work the last few years.
Yeah? Because I stopped watching around the PC Principal. I was like, this show's too far.
I find that funny.
Yeah. No, it was okay, but I was like, I just don't have the energy for this.
I got a little tired of the Tegrity Farms stuff. I felt like they beat that horse a little too hard.
Tegrity Farms?
Tegrity Farms. Yeah, one of the parents starts selling weed, and there's a whole plot line, Tegrity Weed. They ran with that joke a long ways, but they criticized China in some of the most amusing ways that I have ever seen done by a company that theoretically has to continue to do business with China in some way. And I absolutely adore that. I feel like they're not shooting 100%. But as far as a comedy goes, like,
they never did, but
for sure. I don't know. I think season 1 is pretty dang extraordinary.
It is remarkable, but nothing's 100%.
For sure.
But even getting 80%, in this kind of show, I mean, that's
for this kind of show. It's like Saturday Night Live, right? Saturday Night Live. If you have
maybe hits 20%.
If you have two good sketches on a Saturday Night Live, then you are a good episode of Saturday Night Live.
And people remember the good sketches. They don't remember the crap.
That's right.
The hour of crap you have to sit through.
Yep.
And a related story that came out this week, I think, did you know that Casa Bonita is an actual place?
I did not know.
They bought it.
They're buying it.
It's great.
It went into bankruptcy, and so they're right now trying to negotiate with all their debtors and everything, and get themselves set up again.
Some Casa Bonita.
Yeah, and they're gonna reopen Casa Bonita. They're gonna change the menu and try to make a run of it. I think that's fantastic.
Great. Well, it's really funny too, because fans of the show are gonna be like, "There's a real Casa Bonita. I am there." It'll be like their Planet Hollywood or whatever.
I thought Viacom is Viacom part of Paramount Plus? Is that I can't remember.
I don't know, because there was the whole WB Viacom Star Trek triangle with Secret Hideout and J.J. Abrams company off on the side with the deal, do the Star Trek, but with the Kelvin timeline only, not the original series. So, and then there was the changeover after Summer Redstone passed the torch to his kids and he died, and then it's complicated.
Okay, I just looked it up rather than speculating. So Paramount Plus, as part of this deal, is getting 14 South Park movies. What
do you do with 14 movies? It's
crazy. Here's what I wanted to point out. We talked just a few days ago about that article, how Alex Kurtzman is going to be the savior of Paramount Plus. And wouldn't it be funny if it actually ended up being the South Park guys?
Alex Kurtzman with South Park. No, I can't picture Alex Kurtzman doing South Park.
I also can't imagine him producing a movie I want to watch.
What does Alex do? He ships.
What
do Matt and Trey do?
They ship
every week.
They do.
Right.
And they perform that show almost live. It's crazy. I love it. I've always had a very, very, very strong fondness for South Park. I think we've probably talked about this before, but the Spirit of Christmas short, I remember vividly downloading that and watching that while I was writing the first version of the Slashdot code. And I remember like those shows were on the air that first season. We watched them. We pirated real media files.
I remember
because
.rm.
Yeah, .rms because those shows we did not have Viacom at our house at Geek House 1. So Rob,
Viacom, is that his channel?
So Rob, Comedy Central. Rob, I think we used to go to your house because I think your house had Comedy Central. And we would go to your house to watch South Park because you lived on the north side.
Yep.
So for me, South Park is always just like tied, like super coupled to that first year and a half of building Slashdot when it was the Geek House 1, that era. I just think that their story is really cool, and I continue to be impressed that after 25 years, they still put out 2 or 3 episodes a year that are legit funny. Not a lot of people get to do that.
Okay. Let's see now. The Viacom Incorporated board split the company into CBS Corporation and a separate company with the Viacom name. The board scheduled the division in the first quarter of 2006. Oh my gosh. Just goes on. They remerged in 2016.
Yeah.
And then in 2019, they proposed remerging, and it was called off. Then they proposed remerging again in 2019, and then they forgot they were at the end of 2019.
They forgot they were already merged.
They already did it.
Then when he said, "Hey, we should merge again," they're like, "All right, we already are merged."
Oh, nobody gave me the memo.
In December 2019, they bought a 49% stake in Miramax, which was the Weinstein company, right? With Paramount gaining the distribution of the Studio 700 film library as well as its future releases. Also, Paramount, when I read this kind of churn in deal making, you know what I think? I think they're just trying to figure out how to rip people off. Your deal was with the Paramount of 2006, not the Viacom CBS Paramount of 2019.
We've merged 14 times since then.
Well, that's like the David Allen Foster story about how Disney didn't want to pay him book royalties because it's been so many mergers since then. Alan Dean Foster, there you go. This is just the flip side of. The streaming services came along, cable started collapsing, and now we're seeing the flip side of that. We debundled, and now we have to rebundle. But we're gonna do it with 6 corporate or mega corporations that are gonna control all the media we consume.
I mean, that part of it sucks, right? But my God, please bundle some of these things together. I'm sick of trying to figure out what account is what and keeping track of everything.
Right?
Just give me one thing I can pay for.
Yeah.
Give me a box I can click where I can add this.
You know what infuriates me the most, and I didn't post this story because it's not really a relevant story, but I was reading a story earlier about how the smart home will never succeed because it's a bad idea. And I'm like, my response to that is no, the smart home is a fine idea. The problem is that every corporation that gets to a scale where it can theoretically put forth a smart home is financially incentivized to lock their competitors out.
Yeah.
So all of these different industries are creating competing silos, and who suffers? Us. Yay! I have 3 different smart devices in my house.
Of all the big companies, we specifically talked about Rob Maldo.
Yeah, for sure.
Wanted to make his life hell.
Yeah, that guy. He has not yet suffered enough.
He hasn't. So
no, and that's how it is, right? Everybody's got to squeeze out their share and fight to maximize their shareholders' values. But customers are the ones that get caught in the middle, which is what open source was supposed to fix.
Well, I mean, when we talked about debundling, we got what we asked for.
We did.
And now poor Robert Roseboom is sad, that he has to figure out if he has a Blumpify or a Paramount Plus subscription or an Apple Nexus One. Or,
don't you have a subscription to something, though, that you don't know where it's coming out of?
No, I finally figured out. Yeah, that was my HBO. That was my HBO Go Max.
HBO Go Max.
Yeah.
That sounds like a kids' TV show where the robot lions for an HBO Go Max.
Max Steel.
Oh, right?
Yeah. Which is actually pretty fun. Okay. So so I had a problem where I didn't know how I was paying for HBO Go Max. But I finally tracked it down. It just took me, I'm not kidding, honestly, 7 months,
Well, and the flip side to that problem is like Disney Plus and one of the other ones I got for like you could get Apple TV for like a year for free if you bought an Apple device, but then Disney Plus you could get like a 1-year subscription, which was super cheap. So I did that, and then suddenly it's a year later, and you're just like, where did this $70 charge come from? I don't remember this because it was a year ago that I clicked on the box that said okay. I mean, ultimately, it's an accounting problem if you are, reasonably employed. But that could be a real freaking problem for a lot of folks, and it's kind of sad.
Yeah.
So I did just post on the list the trailer to Y: The Last Man.
It's so good.
One of my favorite comics. Y: The Last Man is actually, I don't know where I left off on that show or on that comic, but at some point.
Oh, I finished it. Yeah.
At some point, I was buying loose issues, and then at some point I stopped going to the comic book store, and then I never figured out like where I had to switch to get trade paperbacks. Like where that crossover point was. So I love this story. And I think this is
good.
And I was a little concerned because I was thinking about this. It's on FX, but FX runs, I guess.
They did devs. They do some good stuff.
Yeah, because this show needs to at least be able to throw some F-bombs around.
Oh, it's going to be. Yeah, this is going to be great. I'm so looking forward to this. Yeah, I sent this trailer over to my wife, and I was like, here you go. And she's like, oh, we're watching this. And I know, right?
There are not very many comic books that Kathleen read just as quickly as I did, and this was one. It's a great story. A great premise. I really hope that they pull it
I'm
off.
not sure about their choice of Yorick, I admit, but I'm sure he'll be fine.
He seemed fine to me.
Honestly, he's kind of the least important character in the show.
Well, yeah,
so doesn't really matter for being the last man on Earth. He's kind of
he's just kind of the audience surrogate, and making him different than everybody else is like why he can like be confused all the time. Because doesn't the story
have this gal being the culprit ring gal?
Yeah. And they got the secret agent lady.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. God, I need to just reread that.
Then Yorick's sister, right?
But it takes her a couple books to find her, right?
And she falls into it with it. I'm not going to say nothing.
No spoilers.
She's Agent 711. That's right.
I did feel a little bad. I hadn't really
355?
It made me sad or stressed out, I guess, because they have a monkey. And that's one of the having a pet monkey is great in a comic book because you can draw a pet monkey just as fast as you can draw a person. But I wonder how I assume that in 2021, it's the
Marcel problem.
Yeah. Well, not even the Marcel problem. I assume that in 2021 just having a significant cast member be an animal is either like a huge computer CGI budget or a training budget.
So first of all, it isn't a huge CGI budget. It's actually gotten quite economical, and it is absolutely not a training budget. When I talk to my pals in Hollywood, they're like, we will not have a bug on screen. We will absolutely do it in a computer. We will never again have a real animal on screen. It's just like, it's done.
It's funny
All
to
your
think
trained
that
animals, throw them to the zoo.
It's funny to think that having real animals, like real animals, are now sort of like practical special effects. Like they're becoming a legacy of a different time. And now when you see, like when Chris Nolan comes out, or a Fast and the Furious movie, and they make a big deal about how they did their effects in camera or whatever, and they built miniatures and stuff. You're like, oh, that's a big deal. It's crazy to me to think that now just having a pet dog is at that point.
Yeah, they don't want the trouble. They got so much trouble from the ASPCA and
Sure
animal rights folks and PETA. They're just like, never again. It is not worth the trouble.
And not even the lawsuit things, just the pure difficulty of getting animals to do things on command. They say never make a movie with babies or animals.
Yep. And look what happens when we try to simulate babies.
Oh, they always look uncanny valley weird.
Twilight baby.
Twilight baby weird. Today is officially the 30th anniversary of the first web page, which is kind of crazy. It was April 6th in 91.
On his next cube.
And before my time, I don't remember this. I was BBSing back then, but I did not have internet access in 91. I think about 92,
I had
93.
Internet access at my university. So...
the only internet access I had in that era was I could send messages and I could to email servers, and they would send me back like Usenet articles or FTP files from FTP servers, and I could get those downloaded. I didn't
have internet access yet. I was using Gopher around this time. Trying to think of when I first downloaded Mosaic. Who knows? A long time ago.
93 for me, 93, 94. Because that was the first thing I did in college.
It's very exciting.
My second semester of my freshman year, I got access to the Unix stations in the computer science cluster and immediately learned how to make web pages.
I remember before I got into college, I went to the college and begged for a user account. And they're like, sorry, kid, get the fuck out of here.
Right.
I called up PSI and I was like, hey, can I get a connection, like a slip connection or whatever? And they're like, yeah, you need to call us back when you know what you're talking about.
You're like, I do know what I'm talking about. Gimme.
I'm so sad.
Right?
I'm like, I get it. Punk kid calls you up.
For sure.
Not even a very good high school student at the time.
I actually am pretty amazed at the access that even the West Michigan BBS scene had. We had free multi-line BBS systems that we could chat with our friends on. We had...
Yeah, you didn't have like a gateway into the internet, man.
Well, no, we didn't have a live gateway into the internet, but I could like send emails to services, and one of the guys had a satellite uplink or something. And he would do, or maybe he was dialing out at midnight and like, doing requests with some sort of scripted system. So I could get access to stuff on the internet.
So there was a frame relay based way of traversing CompuServe. So if you had a CompuServe account, you could go to log into CompuServe, and instead of logging into CompuServe, you could frame relay around servers that were on the Telenet and TimeNet frame relay network. And I was trying everything. I was like going to every node I could figure out, and I'm like,
how many IP addresses are there? I'll start at 1111.
Well, it's not. It wasn't an IP address system. It was more like a. Anyway, it's been a long time.
Right. Come a long ways in 30 years.
Yeah, we really have.
And we're gonna really regret in 5 years from now when you can't upload pictures of Winnie the Pooh.
We'll be fine. We'll get enough targeted ads that our minds will.
That's right. The only other one, so I think that's the extent of what we had on Taco Zone. I don't know how much Suicide Squad we want to get into. I'm 60 minutes in.
I think we should wait because I want to watch it and enjoy it.
Well, I just wanted to say to Rob, then you can mute your headphone for just a second if you really don't want to hear. But Rob Polka Dot Man is the coolest thing ever. That is the best character, and
Isn't he?
I'm halfway through,
Rob
and
already mentioned Polka Dot Man.
every line that he's pulled out, what his power is, how he got it, and what the side effect of his power is. Those moments are the funniest things in the whole movie. But I think I'm with you about John Cena. He's a bit much.
He is the Polka Dot Man. Was the gift that this movie gave to me. You know, he's assumed you would like King Shark, and King Shark is exactly like you think King Shark.
I'm looking forward to King Shark.
He is, you know, a big stupid guy that is, you know,
A shark.
it's funny.
Yep.
Yeah. And he really, truly wants to have friends because he doesn't have any friends. So you know, that's kind of funny. But the Polka Dot Man is hilarious.
Well, this goes back to the thing that I was saying earlier. Show me something I've never seen before.
Yeah.
I've never seen that. That's cool. And the character, not even the power, the character that he's playing is funny.
Yeah.
Never seen that before.
So, and you felt, I don't know if y'all have talked about this, but so what I had said to Malda, right, or I was saying to Zen right before Malda came on, I was like, I think John Cena is actually in the situation that we talked about, that Ryan Reynolds is dangerously near. Like, he's just overexposed and he's just not that great, you know? And so,
yeah, I think
maybe his peak.
I think Ryan Reynolds nails Deadpool.
Yep.
Yeah.
And everything else he does is sort of a twist on the Deadpool character, quite frankly.
At this point, yeah.
Well, he's a character actor who got the good fortune or forced his way into playing the perfect character for who his character acting is. You know.
So, I won't give you any spoilers, but I enjoyed Suicide Squad quite a bit. My only knock on it, really, or at least my biggest knock, is that I just feel like John Cena just can't carry the weight like all the other actors around him. You know, his character, I mean, the Polka Dot Man is ridiculous, but you believe that guy is the Polka Dot Man. Do you know what I mean?
Totally.
He has depth. And John Cena's character is just like, ugh. It's rough.
I guess what it comes down to is, so like I said, I'm paused an hour in because it turns out that 12:20 is when my brain says it's time to sleep. But at that point, the funny John Cena bits are funny, but there's too many of them. They're playing too much cowbell, and I feel like that like.
And they're funny in exactly the same way.
Right.
Anybody they would get to play that character would make them funny.
And he's playing Peter DeVries in the new Dune too. I really like this actor. I think he's very fun. You know, yeah.
David.
So
but I have to tell you, the one I'm really looking forward to is this complete mental case. You know, he plays Javelin Man in this, but he's been in so many shows. He's
biting my tongue.
Funny.
Biting my tongue.
Okay, don't say a word.
The German guy.
What's that? Yeah, the German guy. Every interview with him is just so funny.
He was on tons of the Hardwick comedy shows back in the day.
Yeah.
That's sort of, he's in that group of comedians coming up in California. Yeah. So you can see a lot of him on those. What was that? After Midnight or Past Midnight or Before Midnight, whatever that Hardwick show was.
That's right.
Comedy Central.
Silicon Valley. I mean, he's just
yeah.
And I don't think he actually has any character except for the one he plays, you know, but I just love him. I think he's hilarious.
Good on him. I hope the second half of the movie is as good, and I don't have high hopes for Free Guy, but I'm going to watch Ryan Reynolds next week. Oh, no, you know what? That movie might be in theaters only. Ooh.
What's that like?
The Free Guy, yeah.
Theaters? You mean like plays?
I know. Can I just say, you know, for all of our complaining about media consolidation and mysterious bills showing up on your credit card, the fact that
I couldn't find the bill.
The fact that at 8:00 on a Thursday night, Suicide Squad appeared on my TV. Yeah, you know, that was pretty sweet. that was a present. All right. That was the last thing on the list. Does anybody else have anything fun before we go about our days?
Nothing fun.
Going to the dentist. All right.
Good luck with your
Yay.
twofers.
Yeah.
All right. Goodbye, Robert Bisboom.
See ya.
Farewell, Christabona.
Bye.
I was Rob Commander Taco Malta. That was Geeks in Space. We'll see you Tuesday with something else.